been testing the new Formula Wax for me, and this is his chain. Look at that. Nothing on it. Now you've got to get something off there. Hardly there.
I've been doing that for about 2.5 years now, and it's definitely the way to go.
Brilliant, yeah, it's clean. It's a no-brainer for me, like the amount that it costs.
There's another wax chain. When did you wax it? Last night?
Yesterday, yeah.
Yesterday. So it's only done about 50,
Freshly waxed.
40,
chain,
50 k.
Look at that.
Look at that. Nothing.
Not much on it.
Nothing clean. It's not just the cleanness, it's the fact that your chain lasts so long, and therefore your rear cogs and front chain rings. That's nothing new. That's just normal now for wax chains. Welcome to the next leap in chain waxing. The whole process has been simplified yet improved. If you've always wanted to wax your bike chain but it all seemed too complicated, then this may be your leap. No more initial cleaning with all those chemicals. No more ultrasound cleaning, and you can use the hot pot or rice cooker that you already have. No need to invest in anything new. Simply put, the one step is put a brand new chain in and out of your hot wax and put it on your bike and ride it. However, you'll probably want to know a little bit more detail, so this is what this video is. Waxing your bike chain isn't just for road bikes, but it's ideal for gravel bikes and mountain bikes because wax is extremely repellent to water and dirt. Start with a brand new chain. This will prevent any contamination of your wax by dirt, chemicals and schwarf from your previously used chain. 11-speed chain goes on 11-speed sprocket set, 12 on 12 or SRAM flat top chains for AXS sprocket sets, etc. Measure the wear of your current chain. If the tool drops in at 0.5% wear, it's recommended that you also replace your rear sprocket set with a new set, as it will likely not mesh properly with your new chain, resulting in sloppy gear changing or chain slippage. If the tool shows less than 0.5% chain wear, you can keep running this old cassette, or still choose to put on a new cassette. Waxing requires your chain to have a quick link, which should come with your new chain. Some quick links are single use, so should be replaced by a new one each time you remove the chain from your bike. Some quick links are 5 to 6 uses, and at present only the Connex quick link lasts the life of your chain. Let's begin. Take 500 grams of paraffin wax. It can either come in a solid block form, in pelletized form in packets, or you can use ordinary everyday household paraffin wax candles. All these forms have been tested and work just fine. For the sake of this video, we're going to use the household candles. Put the 500 grams of paraffin wax in your hot pot. A small rice or slow cooker will do 1 to 2 chains. A large cooker will do multiple numbers of chains. Remember to double or triple the quantity of ingredients to do so. Set the temperature to 90 to 95 degrees Celsius. If your hot pot does not have a preset temperature setting, use a thermometer. Whilst your wax is melting, clean your drivetrain of any previous lubricant, usually oil, which will contaminate your wax and attract dirt. Remove your chain with either a chain splitter or the chain's quick link. If you're going to replace your cassette, remove the rear wheel and release the cassette from the free hub and discard both of them. Because you're cleaning with chemicals, lay a towel on the ground or a kitty litter tray, or you can clean in an outside area. If your rear derailleur jockey wheels are really caked up with oil and dirt, it's best to remove them for cleaning. Using a degreaser, clean the jockey wheels and the inside of both sides of the derailleur cage. Rinse and dry with a clean rag. Degrease the front chain rings. Spray the chemical to the lower half of the crankset to avoid it getting into your bottom bracket. Scrub the chain rings with either a dustpan brush or a stiff bristled brush. And rinse off with water. degrease, scrub and rinse the insides of your front derailleur cage and wipe excess water off with a rag. Finally, over to your rear wheel and some degreaser on a rag and wipe off any oils and dirt from the rear hub, spokes and the free hub body. If you're going to use your old cassette, then degrease, rinse and dry it. Once clean, your drivetrain now requires very little cleaning maintenance. No need to lubricate your drivetrain now, as the chain will leave a thin layer of wax on the parts which will not accumulate into a thick mess like oil does. Once the wax has melted, if you used candles, remove the wicks. Time to add the friction modifier, PTFE, tungsten disulfide, molybdenum disulfide, graphite, etc. Your choice. If using PTFE, then the ratio is 1:20. So for your 500 grams of paraffin, you add 25 grams of PTFE. For tungsten disulfide and molybdenum disulfide, it's 1:50. So that's 10 grams. For graphite, it's 1:20. That's 25 grams. Note that the friction additive does not dissolve in the paraffin wax. They are a mixture. So when allowed to sit, the additive will eventually settle to the bottom of the pot. Now add a sachet of grease conversion powder. A 20-gram sachet will enable you to treat up to 4 chains. How does this powder work? It's called polymerization. It's a process in which small molecules called monomers combine chemically to make a polymer. It converts the grease to a hard gel or wax-like substance. Environmentally, it has no harmful effects on aquatic, flora or animal life. It's also 100% recyclable. Grease and oil solidifiers are cheap and available worldwide, so simply choose whichever product is easily available for you. Next, take your brand new chain and place it straight on your wire swishing tool. If you don't have one, you can always make one out of almost any piece of wire, like a coat hanger. Put it straight in your hot wax pot and give it a swish for about 1 minute. Then 5 minutes to soak, another 1 minute swishing followed by a 5-minute soak, and finally a third time, 1 minute swish, 5 minute soak. Finally, lay a rag or a microfiber cloth next to your hot pot. One more swish, then lift the chain above the pot and hold it there for 30 seconds while some of the hot wax drops out of the chain. Move the chain to over the cloth, then using your other hand, wipe between the link lines with a microfiber cloth. This reduces excess wax on the exterior of your chain, resulting in less flaking when the chain has cooled. Lay the chain down on the rag, and if you want a super shiny chain, wipe both faces of the chain with the microfiber cloth. For riding in wet conditions, omit wiping the chain. This will leave a thicker layer of wax on the outside of the chain, which helps repel water and dirt even more. There's no need to wax the quick link, simply wipe any oil off with a rag or a paper towel. Now you know that your new chain has been successfully waxed when it does this. All the links are stiff, so that's good. Next step is to free up the links. Remove the chain from the swishing wire, then attach the quick link. Now run the chain over a round piece of pipe, like a broomstick or plastic PVC piping, or you can put a glove on one hand and run it over your thumb. A side view shows no excess wax build-up between the link plates, so there will be minimal flaking from your chainring and sprocket teeth poking wax out. As you can see, jiggling the chain round now, there's a little bit of flaking, but this is very normal. Finally, once the links move freely, you can minimise flaking even further by giving the chain a quick wipe with a microfiber cloth. Fit the new cassette on your wheel, or the old one that passed the chain wear measurement. Fit your rear wheel and install the newly waxed chain onto your bike. Select and place the chain onto the smallest sprocket. Ensure that the chain is running in the correct direction. For instance, Shimano chains installed with the writing facing outwards. Measure the chain length with the chain on the smallest chain ring. Pull the ends of the chain toward each other until the rear derailleur cage spring is pulling back on the cage. Identify the next male link along the chain. Break the chain at that point and remove the excess. You can now join these two male ends with the quick link, and make sure you install your quick link the correct way around. All done. Now just go through all your gears to make sure that they're selecting correctly. You will still get some flaking when pedalling, mostly from the rear derailleur and cassette as the chain twists its way around. This flaking will soon diminish. The wax flakes mostly settle on the rear stay, the rear derailleur, the rear rim and the crankset. Use a soft brush to lightly dust them off. You may re-wax your chain whenever you choose, but no longer than 250 to 300 kilometers maximum. For wet and muddy conditions, it's best to re-wax sooner. E-bikes present more torque on the chain, so it's recommended to re-wax about 200 kilometer mark. Remove your chain with either quick link pliers or by hand for the Connex link. Place the chain in a sieve and slowly pour 1.5 to 2 litres of boiling water over the chain whilst jiggling the sieve. Whilst the chain is still warm, use a microfiber cloth to wipe over it. To keep your chain as free from contaminants as possible, soak the chain in white spirits, isopropyl alcohol or a similar cleaner. Swish, remove and dry with a clean rag, and then you can pop it straight into your hot wax. You don't have to do this step, but it certainly helps keep your wax nice and clean, and it lasts a lot longer between each batch. Now straight into your hot wax, give it a bit of a swish to start with, then let it soak for about 5 minutes. Now slow swish. If there's still quite a few bubbles coming to the surface, then your chain will require a further 5 minutes of soaking. If there's not many bubbles, then you're pretty much done. It's not necessary to clean your drivetrain at every re-waxing. Once every 3 to 4 re-waxings is fine. Put down your catch tray or a towel. First, check for wax build-up on the spacer between the two smallest sprockets on the rear. Here's a small piece which needs to be removed. If left, your chain will likely skip over the wax build-up, causing an abrupt forward pedal stroke when the chain is on the smallest sprocket. Simply use a piece of wire, a nail file or a dental pick to remove that wax build-up. Wax and grease remover, spray on the chain rings, rear cassette and jockey wheels. Lightly scrub the front chain rings, rear sprocket and jockey wheels with a stiff bristled brush, then rinse off with water. Your drivetrain will be completely free of any dirt and old wax. Free the links up, chain back on your bike, do the quick link up, you're ready to go. Some maintenance and recommendations. If you're doing ultra distance riding, then you obviously won't have a hot pot with you with your hot wax. So you might like to take a bottled liquid wax. And this is not fairy liquid, it's the homemade version of the hot wax that you put on your chain. So you can make that yourself and take that with you. Also, it's very handy if you get up in the morning and you need to go for a ride and you forgot to hot wax your chain. Well, you can simply splash that on liberally, turn your chain a few times and off you ride. If you've been riding in very wet conditions, before you store your bike, give your chain a wipe with a microfiber cloth. Remove as much water as you can and this will prevent rusting of your chain. You can continue to ride on the same chain until it reaches its re-wax distance. You could also remove the wet chain, wipe it dry with a rag and then hang it in a dry and airy place. Meanwhile, install a standby chain which is waxed and ready to ride. This method is called rotation of your chains. If you regularly ride in wet conditions, consider buying a stainless steel or titanium chain. This will drastically reduce the likelihood of corrosion on the chain. Do not wait for your chain to sound dry, rattly and metallic before you re-wax. That's the sound of bare metal sliding over bare metal with no lubrication in between. So you'll need to re-wax your chain as soon as possible. If you suspect that water has gotten into your wax pot, when it's cooled down and solid, Turn the wax pot upside down and hit it on a semi-soft surface so the wax block falls out. Then you can wipe both the bottom of the wax block and the hot pot with a rag to dry it, and then you can continue on waxing. Your wax block should be replaced at approximately 3,000 kilometres due to contamination, as you can see with this block. So 5 wax blocks should give you 15,000 kilometres. And finally, the cost of this waxing. 500 grams of paraffin wax should not cost you any more than $10. The friction modifier, be it tungsten disulfide, molybdenum disulfide, graphite or PTFE, 50 grams is all you need for the life of the chain. That should cost you about $10. And the oil conversion powder, that should cost you about $1 per sachet. So that means for your initial wax block is only $21. So for your second block and so forth, you only need a 1:100th ratio of your friction modifier. So a 50 gram sachet will last the entire life of your chain. So considering that a wax bike chain makes the rest of your drivetrain last so much longer, it's going to save you a lot of money in the long run. So not only is it a cheap way of lubrication, it's also the fastest lubrication and it's the cleanest lubrication. So happy chain, happy bike rider. And it's all just been made very easy to do.
And that's not how you lay a bike down on a Di2 bike on the derailleur side when you go for a pee. Oh, clean chain, look at that. Beautiful.
She's all good.